Welcome to Insight Builder channel, large language model automators, Python experts, and my dear friends. Integrating PaLM API with Langchain and vector stores. Power your next language processing project with vector stores and the PaLM large language models from Google. So you see a lot of logos in this particular presentation. So we are going to integrate a couple of products from Google and also with Langchain and see how we can power up our projects. So what is the challenge that is solved? Chatting with data. We have a lot of, I have been discussing about vector stores for quite a long time in my playlists and in my channel. So if you are new to this YouTube channel, and if you are new to large language models as a topic, then I would suggest to take a look at my YouTube videos in my channel. You will get a good deal of information from the Insight Builder channel. You can also see a lot of discussion going on, not just on the large language models, but the entire ecosystem of Python libraries surrounding the large language models. With that said, I would like to go back to the presentation. Now, this particular discussion is more about how to integrate Google PaLM. So PalmAPI is one of the endpoints that has been provided by Google for connecting to its new large language models. You must have heard of Bard, right? So you must have, if you have not heard of it, then it's going to be insane that to think that you have not heard of it. But yeah, still, you might be totally new to this large language model field. So take a look at this particular video. You will get a good understanding about how to use Google Bard and how to work with GUI as well as the Python integration. This does not contain Langchain, so this is a pure Python integration, and you can also see how the Vertex AI and the various prompting works in this particular video. With that said, all these videos links I will be linking with this current video that you are watching. You can take a look at it at the sidebar, so you will get an idea. Let us go back to the presentation. Okay. Now, what is so special about Google large language models? First and foremost, the way it is getting trained is much different from the way the existing large language models are getting trained, because Google large language model is very recent. So it has been trained up to the data that is up to February 2023, and the way Google team has trained the data is a little different, because they have run through a lot of deduplication, run through a lot of removing the noise in the data, and they have done some additional work. And you can see that when you interact with the Bard large language model in the GUI, that is in your browser. And moreover, Bard, you must be already knowing that it is connected to the internet moreover. So whichever questions you are asking, Bard is also giving answers directly from its training, as well as it is asking the internet. I mean, it's Google searching and giving you the information. So, but when you are going to connect using PalmAPI, we are not going to get that level of Google search integration. It will be a little bit different large language model. So when you are going to work with the PalmAPI, apart from the PalmAPI, so there is something called as MakerSuite. So this is an additional product or a service that is offered by Google. I'll be discussing about that also. So we will have a brief look at the PalmAPI documentation and the MakerSuite features. And currently, both PalmAPI and MakerSuite are in their preview stage, and it is in the waitlist for most of us, including me. However, due to I had taken support of one of the member I'll be introducing in a couple of minutes to test this particular code. Now, the large language model itself is very similar to all the other large language models that you have come across, like OpenAI's ChatGPT or the Open Assistant, the Star Coder. I have been discussing all this large language model in my own playlists also. Now, how this is going to be integrated with large language model Langchain? So in Langchain, there is always a primitive. It's a class that is written for each of the large language models, and that class has to call the necessary API endpoints and then integrate it. So in this case, in case of PalmAPI, already Langchain has got a primitive called as GooglePALM. So this particular, there is a class already available in Langchain that you can use it. Okay, so there is no, this particular Google PaLM class is not yet listed in the large language models inside the documentation. So if you are not finding it, don't get surprised, but it is still there inside the documentation. It's not just listed there, it is there in the documentation. We can use this Google PaLM and we can initiate the LLM, but you need to get the API keys. So API keys are in the waitlist. So I will tell you how to get into the waitlist. That is one thing that I can actually share it to you. But after that, there are two other challenges. We have to chat with the large with our data, right? For chatting with our data, if you're new to this concept, then I will give you a brief. In order to chat with the data, we need to provide the large language model with the context. And the context, you cannot provide the entire data that you have in your hand. So you will have a huge data, for an example 300-page book, or entire data base, or a data set which can span thousands of rows. So how are you going to give a specific context? So for that, we use something called as a similarity search using vector stores. But in order to use similarity search, we need to use embeddings of the data. That is where sentence transformers comes in. I am not going to go deep into the sentence transformers library or the embedding process. There is a separate videos I have already made on this. Take a look at my playlists. You will get a fair idea on that. At this moment, I would like to move to the next step. The next step is that once you have created the embedding, you have to store it inside a database. That's where the vector store database like ChromaDB, VV8, and various other open source database comes into picture. We will be using ChromaDB because instantiating ChromaDB is pretty simple, and integrating it with using Collab notebooks is going to be a breeze. And then this is the entire process. Once you have the retrieval QA chain, all you need to do is use your natural language, that is English, and start chatting with the model, as well as the data. This is a pretty basic way of chatting with the model. You are the prompt that you are going to provide is the key here. That is why the MakerSuite actually comes into picture. Now I have given you a brief. The code for this also is already hosted on this GitHub repo. I'll be sharing that repo. I would like to take this moment to thank Mr. Hemant. He helped me how to test this code using his API keys, and I understood that we are able to use it using the Google PaLM LLM class in the Langchain. So Hemant has his website at h3month.com. Take a look at this website. He's a wonderful person. With that said, the next most important point I wanted to highlight is MakerSuite provides a visual playground for prompting. This is something that I am eager to look at. I am still waiting for the I am in the wait list already, but I would like to see what they have done. But apart from that, let me go to the browser right now, and then let me directly jump into the code. Okay, before we jump into the code, I just want you guys to take a look at so MakerSuite, you can join the waitlist by using this particular link. You can just search for products MakerSuite, you will get it, join the waitlist, and you'll see that MakerSuite has got a series of interesting stuff going on. You can actually give prompt examples, and you can test the prompt. This is the key point. You can test the prompt in the GUI itself. Apart from that, this MakerSuite gives access for the API keys that you can use it with our integration with vector stores. I'll be showing it to you how. And then the final, the key point that we all are looking for is that we can take the code out of it. So after you test the PaLM, after you test the prompt, you can actually take the code out of the interface itself. So this is one of the key points that I really like. So you see the get code option. I had shown this in case of Vertex AI also. So in Vertex AI, if you have seen my earlier videos, the same kind of code can be, sorry for the disturbance. This kind of code receiving is possible in the Vertex AI GUI also. So these are the benefits that you get from MakerSuite. So do join the waitlist and work on that. And then comes the guide for PalmAPI. See, the API in case of PaLM is pretty versatile. So do understand how the API keys and what are the various primitives inside the API keys. You can actually check these out. You can check the details under Python. They have API keys for various languages here, as you can see. Not just for Python. They have it for Node. They have it for JavaScript, Java, Android, and Swift. And you can see that the library that is getting used is Google-generative AI. In case of the Vertex AI, what will happen is, let me go to this, just a minute, let me show you. So this is one of the collab notebooks provided by Introduction for PalmAPI. You can actually use two routes. You can use Vertex AI route, or you can use the MakerSuite route or PalmAPI route. In case of Vertex AI, you have to install Google Cloud Platform AI platform. So this is what you have to do if you are going to use Vertex AI. So you see this Vertex AI SDK. But if you are going to use MakerSuite or PalmAPI, then you have to use the generative AI. So this is a difference. And why I am telling you this is that when you are going to use the Langchain, use the API, PalmAPI with Langchain, then you have to use Google Generative AI only. At this moment, we cannot use the this Google Cloud AI platform. The API endpoint for Google Cloud AI platform is different compared to the MakerSuite, that is PalmAPI endpoint. So it is different. That's why you cannot use it. Okay, so keep this in mind. Once you come to the actual, just a minute, let me go to the Jupyter Notebook. So this is the PalmAPI waiting list. You can join the waitlist here also. You can take a look at this particular link and you can join the waitlist. And this is the Vertex I was talking about. So this is already available. So you don't need to join any waitlist. If you have Google Cloud Platform, you can get it up and running. So we now have some brief idea of what exactly you need to do in order to get access. But if you are even not getting access even now, you can actually wait for it and get access to it in quite a little time. Let us go to the Jupyter Notebook. So this particular notebook is what we will be using. And you see that I am importing Google Generative AI, I am importing ChromaDB, and I am importing Langchain. Also, I am importing transformers. So this is where sentence transformers and transformers are going to help me to create the embedding. As I already told, let me zoom in a bit. I suppose you guys might face, yeah, now it should be better. This, the embedding is going to be done by sentence transformers, not by the Google's own text gecko 001 model. Now, in order to access the large language model from Google PalmAPI, you have to configure this particular key. Okay, so here it's actually a little strange. Actually, what will happen is you have to separately create this particular API key, and you have to add the API key here. You have to get the API key from MakerSuite or PalmAPI. So you have to go to this particular PalmAPI and this particular documentation process, and you can get the necessary API key from this product. Anyway, now we are in waiting list, so you will not be able to see anything here. But once you are through the waiting list, then you will be able to get the API key. Okay, so you can get the API key from here. Try the PalmAPI. You can actually get the API key from this location. So you will be getting it. Let us go back. Once you get the API key, provide it here. And after that, you see this particular import. This is the import I was talking about. So you can use GooglePALM, and then it's from there. It's very similar to OpenAI version that you have used till now, or Hugging Face Transformers model versions you have used till now. All you need to do is import this, give the temperature, and then start the prompting activity. Rest of the things are pretty simple when it comes to chatting with the data. What happens is once you have the LLM that is initiated from Google PaLM, then you can create an LLM chain. Then you are going to test it. So always you have to test. And once you test it, you can create a separate retrieval QA chain. This is the key class primitive, and then you can use the recursive character text splitter. This is something that I am using for loading the data into the vector store. So this is two of the text and CSV file that I'm using. You can take a look at these files in the repo itself. It is available in this repo. You can take a look at that. And then what I'm doing is I am loading it. Yeah, this is where I'm doing it. I'm using the Hugging Face model. But there is one more important point. So sometimes what happens is when I ran this experiment, ChromaDB did not actually take the embeddings that I'm creating here. It did not take the embeddings that I initiated here. It actually took the, so you see this here, no embedding function provided using default embedding. But at the end of the day, the point here is to ensure that the documents are embedded. The retrieval is taken care by the ChromaDB only. Internally, ChromaDB does the similarity search based on the query you are giving. Like here you are giving the query, right? The question you are giving. Based on this question, ChromaDB will do the retrieval and hand it over to Langchain primitive, and Langchain will hand it over to the large language model, and then the answer will be given by the large language model. That is what is done here. Okay, so you see this lin chroma is this particular variable, which is actually a ChromaDB creation, and it is used as retriever. So this method is from Langchain, and this particular method will get the necessary documents and hand it over to the LLM that we created here. Okay, and so you see this is a pretty straightforward process. You are not going to reinvent anything here. You are just going to use that is already something coded. Only thing is we are just understanding how to get the access to the large language model and how to get the access to API key and how to use it. And in that process, once you are able to do it, you must be able to ask these questions. So you can ask simple questions like this, and keep one thing in mind. So if you are going to ask something that is not inside the document, there are two ways the large language model can answer. It can either say that it doesn't have the data, or whatever question that you're asking, if it is available in the internet or if it is already trained upon, it will for sure answer. So if you don't want it to answer, then you have to properly create the chain and then create the large language model and then create the retrieval QA chain. I have taken separate videos on that, so you can take a look at that, how to do it. But if you want something to be customized at this location, then you have to use proper router chains, or you have to use proper agents with proper custom input and output prompt parsers. This is something that I wanted to clearly highlight to you guys. So let us go back to the presentation. As we saw that the integration aspect as such, so you might be thinking, okay, for integrating there will be lots of process needs to be done. But in fact, once you understand the key steps that you need to take, actually integrating your data through the embedding or the vector stores is pretty straightforward. And the large language model does not matter. It can be Cohere, it can be Google's PaLM or Vertex AI, it can be even you must be knowing that you can actually access your Bard via the reverse engineered API. So if you have not known that, then take a look at my earlier videos, you will understand that. You can use that also, but the point is that you have to give the right prompt to it. So let me go back to the browser. I will show you something more interesting. If you take a step back in the same folder, this particular Jupyter notebook, Bard example prompts version 01, contains all the prompts that has been provided in the prompt gallery in Vertex AI. So if you have seen my earlier videos, I have discussed about Vertex AI and the prompt gallery, and this particular notebook contains all the prompts. So you can take a look at each of the prompts, how it has been created. So for an example, support rep chat summarization, how it is created, how to summarize a news article. So what is the prompt that is provided and what is the article? And in case if you want to work on some chat bot agent summarization or chat agent follow up, you can see all these things I have collected in one place so that you guys can review it. And you see, this is more important. This is called a structured transcript. So there is a structure to this. So there is a article that is provided here. You see this is the feature article and this is a summary of it. So like this, you can give examples to the large language model and then you can ask for the summary. So like this, you can actually structure your prompt. All this prompt activity will be supported visually by the MakerSuite. So that is what I was talking about. Then what happens is, once you can do all this once you see all these examples, and once you try it, once you get access to MakerSuite, you can actually try these things and see how it works out. The most important point I always talk about in all my videos is that you guys have to practice. The reason the more and more complicated the things becomes, the only way to make things easy is by practicing. You have to get exposed to the technology, you have to get exposed to the challenges that the technology poses, and then you need to creatively think. So place some constraints, like you can only work for 2 hours or 3 hours and try to take a problem and try to solve it using the large language models, and see how far you can go. A most important point is, nowadays as Vertex AI and moreover the PalmAPI MakerSuite will be released for us, we will be having preview stage, and it will be available for free of cost for some time. During that time, make use of that, practice a lot of different prompting strategies and understand what kind of prompts you can use to come up with interesting products. With that said, I believe that you like this video and this content. Do leave a like or a share, and share this content with others. As I was explaining, these kinds of information regarding the prompts nowadays are becoming prevalent. We see a lot of discussion going on prompt engineering, working to understand how the prompt engineering works, how the large language model works, right? All these things are I am also discussing all this stuff, but I always insist on you guys practicing. Why I tell you this is, without practicing, without actually getting hands dirty with these technologies, even if it is programming primitives, these are all abstractions. In fact, I really don't know what is deep into these abstractions. I have to look at the code. I go into details using for an example, if I go to, let me show you something. This is also pretty interesting. The other day when I was trying to understand, so what happens is, just give me a moment, we can actually take a look at the various primitives also. Let me go back. The GitHub repo has nowadays provides the ability for us to take a peek into the various, let us see, just give me a moment. I will show you what exactly I am trying to say. We are in the Langchain repo that you guys must be already aware of. And if you go into the Langchain repo and if you go into the LLMs, you will see the various types of class primitives that has been created. So this is how you actually have to dive deep into the abstractions. So now, for an example, the LLM that we are using is GooglePALM, right? So you see this particular Python notebook. If you go into that, you will see the developers who have actually developed it. This was something has been edited by Mr. M. C. So this person had done some editing, and you see that he actually, these are various methods that is already available for this particular base model, and you will actually find some interesting libraries also, like Tenacity. So this is one of the libraries that I came across, when I read the code, so which can help to do retries for the API endpoints. So this is something that you will find interesting. So exploring this code is also pretty interesting activity. And you see here, as you go down, generate with retries, you see that they are erroneous. They are stripping the erroneous leading spaces, and this is where the actual call to the LLM happens. So here they talk about the API key, and they talk about the various parameters that you provide, and then they actually talk about connecting to the process that I was showing here, right? So how to just a minute, I have closed it. Just give me a moment. So in the notebook, Jupyter notebook that I had created, I had used this particular line, right? genai.configure, and I had given the configuration key. So that was taken from these two lines. You see this, how we can learn about implementation by using the code that is already provided by Langchain team. So in this way, even if for an example, if you take a look at the updated Langchain documentation, sometimes you may not find what you're looking for, or the documentation is still not updated. It is being updated by various team members. And if you come to the models here, and if you go into the LLMs, and if you go into the integrations, you'll see the various integrations available. But the integration for Google is still not there. you see this here, right? It's not there. And even if you look at the MakerSuite is also not there. So what to do then? So in that case, you can actually use Google search and look for Google PaLM. And from here also, you can actually go to the necessary code that I was talking about. So these are the ways you can actually explore you see this particular path that I'm getting. So if you click on that, it will take me to the code that I showed you in a couple of minutes in the so you see the process here. You can see all the LLMs, how they are getting initiated. You can get the information from this page also. So like this, there are various things that you can learn once you start practicing and once you start diving deep into the abstractions. This is something that I always insist to all my viewers. And in this way, you can, it's not that you are just going to do a tutorial. You are going to improve your own capability to solve problems. With that said, I would like to come to a close of this particular video where we have discussed about the integration of the MakerSuite and PalmAPI large language models from Google with vector stores like ChromaDB using Langchain. And we saw various related topics on understanding how to get into the waitlist of MakerSuite and PalmAPI. Do get into waitlist, and then we went into the code and started discussing the code. With that said, I would like to complete this video with 4 words, and always do subscribe to my channel so that you can get more updates on large language models, Python ecosystem and libraries. And finally, the 4 words that I want to say here is practice, 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 practice. With that said, see you guys. Have a great time.